This is the first of a three-part mini-series of videos to put into perspective the recent killings of two NYPD officers. The first part describes the nature of what law enforcement does while exposing the number of people that they kill. The second will examine the numbers of police deaths and to ask the questions about those deaths. The third is to show elaborate funeral proceedings for fallen police and to ask the question, who's funding this and why? With that, let's get right into part one. Hi everyone, this is TigerLily. Welcome to another episode of TigerLily's Freedom Roar as I challenge people's thinking about the recent killings of the two NYPD cops. I used to take it for granted that when someone who devoted their life to protect others was killed, it was kind of a big deal to me, almost as if it were my own family. But these days, I'm not so upset. I found an article from a blogger that expressed very well much of why I've changed my mind. I'm going to read a short excerpt of this article, and while reading it, I'm going to scroll through a list of people that have been killed by cops in 2014. There is no government agency that tracks these numbers, but thanks to the internet, motivated people are keeping track. The list I'm about to show you is by killedbypolice.net. I find this site to be well sourced and very credible. This list includes the data about the 1,075 human beings who were killed by cops during January 1, 2014 through December 24, 2014. So if you divide the 1,075 people that were killed by cops during the 357 days that this report covered, that's an average of 3 people a day that are being killed by cops. Let me repeat, an average of 3 people daily are being killed by cops in the United States of America. Please think about this as I read an excerpt from the article titled "Dead Cops Choose Their Fate" by Christopher Cantwell, and I'll provide links to all my sources in the YouTube description. The two cops chose their fate. They had plenty of options in this world. They were not conscripted into the world's 7th largest army. They joined voluntarily. They submitted applications, went to an academy, swore oaths, and dedicated their lives to oppressing, not protecting, their fellow man. Nobody forced them, but they forced others. Every single day, they collected money that was taken from people by threat of force. Every day, they made the choice to put on that uniform and go to work. They chose to sit in their car and wait for someone who had the nerve to disobey the edicts of their political masters. They chose to approach those people and threaten them with violence. They chose to disarm gun owners. They chose to kidnap marijuana smokers. They chose to extort motorists. They chose to search people without cause. They chose a career where it was their job to gun down anyone who dared resist them. They knew the public hated them for it, and they did not care. I find it simply amazing that they get to behave this way every day, and these people get to walk around in relative safety. Police always talk about how dangerous their jobs are, but anybody who bothers to take a look knows this isn't true at all. Police literally walk around with a license to kill, and yet they are less likely to be killed at work than loggers, fishermen, pilots, roofers, and dozens of other professions. The NYPD, one of the most ruthless police forces on the planet, hasn't lost an officer since 2011. I'd frankly find it far more concerning if a few of them didn't die after one of them strangled a man on the street for tax evasion in broad daylight with dozens of witnesses and a video recording. I mean, what planet are we living on? Somebody has to hold these people accountable at some point, and we've seen plenty of evidence that the system isn't going to do that. It never has, and there is no reasonable expectation that it ever will. In fact, all evidence would suggest that the system is there to do the exact opposite of holding these people accountable. Do the people who decry this violence as unjustified propose that we instead allow innocent men, women, and children to be slaughtered, kidnapped, robbed, and assaulted for all of eternity with absolutely no repercussions for the perpetrators? Stay tuned for part 2, where I'll take a close look at cop fatalities and attempt to put into perspective the realities of their danger. Thanks for listening. This is TigerLily, reminding everyone to avoid at all costs ever calling a cop. Why?
That's why this is what happens when you call the cops.
Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot.